Hey everybody, it's Edie and welcome to the Lammas edition of the Discovering Your Energetic Wheel of the Year series. I sincerely apologize that this video was not up sooner, but if you follow me on Facebook or if you watched my Lammas video, you'll know that I had no idea it was Lammas. I said this before, I know that Lammas is August 1st. It's always August 1st, it's August 1st every single year. Just like Christmas comes the same day every year. And I know that August 1st is Lammas. However, I've had a crazy busy summer and I did not realize that yesterday, or no, 2 days ago was August 1st. See, it's already August 3rd and I'm like, where the fuck has the year gone? So it was like the day before when I realized, holy shit, tomorrow's Lammas and I'm so not prepared. So that's why this video is a few days late, but I still wanted to put it up here because it's part of the series and I don't want to miss any of the days on the wheel of the year. So that's why I'm putting it up now, and hopefully you were able to create your own Lammas celebration, and I'd love to hear what you ended up doing, even though I hadn't shared this yet. And hopefully, you know, through doing the other holidays on the wheel of the year, you've kind of learned how to create your own rituals. So even if I hadn't put this video up, hopefully you've learned something from the other ones and were able to create an amazing celebration for yourself. So again, pages and pages of notes, and I'm just going to kind of run through them and talk off the top of my head and just kind of share my associations and the way that I celebrate and the things that I do and that my family does on Lammas. Remember, the journal prompt questions are listed in Edie's Cosmic Gathering Place in the files section, and the journal prompts always stay the same, but your answers will always be different. I could create new journal prompts for every Sabbath and holiday and Esbat and what have you, but really, if you answer those questions, I mean, that gets to the core of everything, and so the questions don't need to change because your answers always change. So, as you know, if you've been following along this series, you know I don't really talk a whole lot about the traditional celebrations or the traditional meanings behind the celebration. I just talk about, you know, my personal associations with things. I do kind of give a brief overview, which is what I'm going to do now, and if you want to learn more about that, then by all means go do some Googling, but I really urge you to discover your own associations before you even attempt to look at Google. And even then, if you do decide to go, you know, do some research, don't let what you read change how you feel or what the holiday means to you or how you celebrate it, and let it enhance you, but don't let it change for you. If you're doing the work, if you're doing the journal prompts, if you're really looking within, it doesn't matter what a book tells you or what Google tells you, those things aren't correct. That's just traditional, or that's someone else's meaning. So don't let that determine how you then celebrate or see that holiday for yourself. All right, so Lammas, also called Lunasa, sometimes loaf mass, depending on where you are, it means loaf mass, and it is the wheat and grain harvest. For a long time, I had a hard time wrapping my head around that. Like, why are there so many fucking harvest seasons? Why are there so many harvest festivals? I didn't get it. It's because I don't live, you know, deeply rooted in agricultural rotation. That doesn't really mean anything to me. That doesn't really resonate with me because I am not a farmer and I have a black thumb. I can't grow things. So that whole scenario just did not register to me. I just understand what's in season at the grocery store. So the whole three harvest festivals across the year did not make sense to me for a very long time. Now I get it a lot more, and I know that, you know, certain things, you know, you plant them at certain times of the year, and so therefore they are in full bloom and then ready to be harvested at different times of the year. But for a long time that just did not make sense to me. So Lammas is the first harvest of the year, and these are the things that come into seed first. These are the things that are in full bloom. They have come to, you know, the height of their producing abilities, and they are ready to be harvested. And it's the grains and the corns and the wheat and, you know, all of those different grain type plants. And the berries, things like that, also are at the height of picking right now. So this is the first harvest, and it's all about food, really. Like for me, it's all about the food. A lot of the holidays are like that for me. They're all about the food. Oh, I think I just kicked the camera, sorry. So basically, Lammas is the midway point between the summer solstice and the autumn equinox. So summer solstice is June 21st. I had to think about that. And the autumn equinox is September 21st. So August 1st is that midway point between those two times of the year. So the sun is not at the full height of its power. That was the summer solstice. And then autumn equinox is when we are at that perfect balance of light and dark again. So we still have more daylight. It is still longer days. We are still in summertime, and it's, you know, the sun comes up the ass crack of dawn and doesn't go down until, you know, 8:30 at night. But the days are starting to wane. It is a noticeable difference, because just a few weeks ago it was 8:30 at night and it was still fairly bright outside, and now I'm noticing by 7:45, 8 o'clock, it's getting to be dusk, and the sun is not down by any means, but it is low in the sky, and so I can tell that the daylight hours are waning. And this kind of goes back to those journal prompts. If you're paying attention to the natural environment around you, paying attention to what the trees are doing, what the animals are doing, what the sun and the moon are doing, then that kind of helps you get a deeper understanding of the turn of the wheel. So it is definitely a noticeable change for the time of day, for the amount of daylight hours that we have available to us. And it still feels like summer, don't get me wrong, but you can tell that we are making our way towards those shorter days. Those shorter days are on the horizon. And traditionally, Lunasa or Lunasa is celebrating the sun god Lu, and that's where the name Lunasa comes from. And I have my notes here because I don't want to forget anything about this. This is not something that I necessarily follow, which is why I wrote the note about it. But traditionally, Lu is the sun god, and the festival is to honor his mother. And Lu was a jack of all trades, so he was a craftsman. And so traditional celebrations are about, you know, sharing your crafts, sharing what you're good at, and actually making things, doing things with your hands. If you're an artist, if you're a woodworker, if you are a mason or what have you, actually doing something, creating something, making something, sharing your abilities. A mechanic, whatever, you know, just sharing your abilities. So, you know, these games of sort kind of took place, and everyone just got out there and shared their wood chopping skills and their bread making skills, and that was the way it was traditionally celebrated. Some people still do that, and part of that is kind of incorporated into my celebration, but not because of Lu. It just kind of happens to be the way I celebrate. So if you want to learn more, it is easily Googleable. So the god is Lugh, L-U-G-H, and Lunasa is spelled L-U-G-H-N-A-S-A-T-H. Excuse me. And you can learn more about those things through there. Another thing that's very highly celebrated and probably the most well-known thing about Lammas is John Barleycorn. So there's a really cool story of John Barleycorn. I mean, I don't worship is not the right word. I was trying to think of this earlier, but worship is not the right word. Follow is not the right word, but I don't hold too much stock in the story. I think it's a really cool story, and I love the song and things like that, but another really common traditional, probably the most well-known traditional aspect of Lammas is the story of John Barleycorn. Now, John Barleycorn is not something that I focus heavily on. I do love the story, I love the song, I love the concept of it, but I don't center my Lammas celebrations around the story of John Barleycorn. And if you're not familiar with that, also Google it. It's a very cool story. The song is very popular, and you can find it by multiple artists. You can find it by Kellyanna, you can find it by Dame the Bard. I can't remember the most well-known author, but there are several verses to the song, and it's basically the life, death, and rebirth of the corn cycle. John Barleycorn. Anyway, so the seed is planted, it grows, it becomes a big tall stalk. It is then sheathed and cut down, and the field is sown again, and the corn is ground, and then it's turned into flour and whatever. So, and then the seed is planted again. So it's this whole cycle of life, death, rebirth, but it's told in an awesome story of John Barleycorn. So look that up if you're interested in that. It's basically the embodiment of the spirit, the living spirit of corn. So yeah, Google that if you're interested in more. So let me tell you a little bit about kind of my associations with Lammas. So I don't do a whole lot of masculine energy. I don't do a lot of God energy. I do mostly goddess energy. So for me, it's more about the goddess aspect, and the corn and the grain and the life and the death rebirth cycle, but more from a goddess perspective and a Mother Earth perspective. So it goes back to that same story of John Barleycorn. I just see it more from the aspect of the goddess with, the seed and the planting and the growing and the harvesting and then the replanting. So the life, death, rebirth cycle. The seed, so I wrote this down because I wanted to make sure I said it correctly. So I'm just going to kind of read it and then I'll talk more about it. Within the seed gathered at this time lies the heart of the future of all harvests. A pregnant woman carrying her unborn daughter also carries the ovary containing all the eggs her daughter will ever release. Therefore, she is already mother, grandmother, and beyond, embodying the great mother line, pure magic and mystery. And I got that quote from The Goddess and the Green Man a long time ago. So I just love that. And that really encompasses kind of how I see things. So I talked about this a little bit at one of the other videos. I don't remember which. It might have been the in bulk video, but it could have also been one of the other ones. I'm not sure. Anyway, within the seed lies everything that plant will ever be. And it is already contained in that tiny little seed. All of the potential, all of the fruit that it will bear, all of the other aspects that plant will then become is already contained within that seed. So when we look at corn, there is a seed that gets planted into the ground. That seed then grows and transforms and pushes its way through the soil to then become this tall stalk with this gorgeous golden fruit on it. And there are multiple multiple ears of corn on each individual stalk. And each of those ears of corn then contains the seed that will then be turned into something else. Those seeds are edible. You can cook them, you can grind them, you can turn them into flour, you can turn them into decorations, you can turn them into all these other things. But that is the seed once again. And so once the corn is cut down, the plant then dies, it is returned back to the earth. And it then nourishes the other parts of the earth. And then that soil is then fertile, and then you plant the seed in that soil once again, and the whole cycle starts over again. And so that's just, again, I don't live by an agricultural clock or calendar, but that just makes so much sense to me, and I just feel that in my bones, and I love that aspect of Lammas. So that's kind of how I look at things, and that the seed is so important right now because this is the grain harvest, and so the seeds are coming from this harvest. And so when you harvest the plant, you are harvesting that seed, and what you have already grown this year, you are harvesting right now, but you are also gathering the seeds for what you will harvest next year. So the colors for me for Lammas are gold, yellow, orange, and brown. So very, very close to Thanksgiving colors. Not as many, like the range isn't as wide, but yeah, all of the corn colors really. Gold, yellow, orange, and brown. Those are my colors. And the herbs that I associate with lammas are all of the grains, sunflowers, and marigolds, and obviously corn. If you have a garden, you can make a ceremony for harvesting whatever is ripened at this time. Turn it into your ritual. Make it a big event. Take the time to spend time with the plant. Thank it for growing so beautifully and producing such beautiful, luscious, delicious fruits or vegetables for you. Ask that you may take that fruit from the plant and thank the plant as you are harvesting it. Give honor and give thanks and appreciate that plant for growing the sustenance that will fuel your body. Celebrate the abundance. Celebrate everything you have sown and are now harvesting in your life. And that can be this week, this month, this year, or across your entire life. But that whole cycle of everything you have grown to this point is now being harvested. You are also gathering the seeds for what you will continue to grow and harvest in your life. So take some time to think about that and celebrate everything that you have harvested this year, or everything you have harvested this month, or everything you have harvested in your lifetime. Just give some thanks for that. Leave offerings, make sacrifices. This doesn't have to be big, but it does need to be meaningful. Offer the first slice of bread or pie to the universe, spirit, goddess, or ancestors, whatever you like to call it. Make it an actual sacrifice. Again, this does not have to be something big, but whenever I was creating my Lammas feast, I baked bread. And so the very first slice of bread off of that warm, steaming loaf of freshly baked bread was an offering. I also chopped up some of the celery. I made a vegetable stew, and so some of that celery was part of my offering. I kept some of the corn husks because I was making corn dollies, and that was part of my ritual, so I kept some of the corn husk. We had also grown a thyme plant, and we had harvested and dried some of the thyme, so all of that was left as an offering in my ritual. Whenever I went into sacred space that night, I then did a ritual, and then I went outside and left an offering. And I kind of look at my offerings like this. I am offering them to the goddess, the universe, spirit, whatever you want to call it. But in offering that, I am sacrificing something from myself and giving it, but I am also giving it to someone in need of it as well, because the goddess needs those nutrients to fertilize the soil. The squirrels and the birds can nibble on those things that I left out as an offering. So yes, I am sacrificing of myself, but I am also continuing that cycle. I am giving to someone in need who will then take it in and will be nourished, and then will continue the cycle. So and I always, give it in thanks and gratitude for everything that I have received and everything that I would continue to receive. I'm giving so that I hope to continue receiving, if that resonates with you. Celebrate. Well, you can create an abundance ritual, first of all. And that's kind of what I did. If you watched my Lammas video on YouTube, then you will see I created a money corn dolly, basically, and it was a financial abundance spell working that I did for Lammas, and it was a corn dolly that I created to grow financial abundance. And you can create a financial abundance ritual and spell working at this time of year, because again, it goes back to that seed. Everything you have sown so far, you are now harvesting, but you are also gathering the seeds for what you want to continue to grow. And if you go watch my Lammas video, I talk a little bit about my corn dolly and why I did the things that I did, and why I turned it into a money spell, because that is what I'm seeding for the year to come. So leave an offering of money. When you're creating your offering, leave an offering of money. Even if it's a few pennies or a few quarters or whatever it is, a dollar bill, leave that offering of money in your abundance spell. And then collect the seeds for next year's planting. And that is metaphorical and physical. That is real world and spiritual realm. If you have grown your own plants, and they are things that can be replanted. So like corn, for example, or tomatoes or what have you. As you are harvesting those things, gather the seeds for next year. As you are doing your ritual, you have harvested things this year and you are giving thanks for that, but then you are also creating the seed for what you want to continue to grow into the year ahead and into next year. So gather those seeds, both metaphysically and physically. Gather those seeds now and save them for next year, because there will come a time of planting. We did this, you know, at the Imbolc ceremony and Imbolc ceremony on the Imbolc video. Like, that is the time to start planting those seeds. So the seeds that you are harvesting now are the seeds that you will plant again. And then those are the things that you want more of in the next year. So those metaphysical seeds that you're gathering, those are the things that you want more of for next year. So think about that as you are gathering those seeds. Now is the time of harvest. So if you have been growing your own garden, now is the time to start harvesting those things, and you know which ones are ready. And a lot of herbs are ready at this time as well. So you want to start cutting them back, but you want to start drying them, because those are the things that are going to sustain you through the winter. You've grown them. They have reached the peak of their freshness and tastiness. So now you want to start harvesting those things and drying them for the year ahead, through the winter, basically. Some other things that you can do are go on a nature walk. This is one of my things that I recommend doing for every single holiday, every Sabbath, every Asbat. I say go on a nature walk, because spending time in nature is a really cool thing to do, especially for someone like me who does not go outside. I make an effort to go outside on those days. So I go on a nature walk, I gather items, and then those are the items that I use to decorate my sacred space with. Those are the items that I decorate my home with. Those are the items that I use in the crafts that I make for each of the holidays. So go on a nature walk, take note of your surroundings, look at the leaves, look at the animals, what are they doing? You know, are the flowers still blooming, or are they starting to die off? Are different flowers starting to bloom? Take note of these things while you're on your nature walk, and then gather the items and supplies that you need to decorate or make your crafts with. Collect items to decorate your corn dolly and to make a besom with. So, gather the items to decorate your corn dolly and make a besom with. So a besom is obviously a broom, but it's also the symbol of hearth and home. And while you're out on your nature walk, you can collect several different items to make a besom with. And there's a really cool sweeping in of abundance ritual that you can do. And I kind of wrote some notes here, so I'm just gonna read it so that I don't forget anything. So make a besom or decorate your broom. Like, if you don't want to go out and gather the supplies, or if you just aren't able to make a besom, you can do this with your regular like corn broom in your closet. I don't use plastic brooms, that's just me. I have a corn broom with a wooden handle, and in my opinion those are the best ones to use for ritual, just because they are made of natural elements. If all you have is a cheap plastic broom from the dollar store, use it, do it, fine, whatever. But if you can, go out and gather supplies to make a besom or decorate your broom that you already have. Gather small twigs, grasses, grain, or other botanicals. Tie them together with hemp cord or ribbon or what have you, and create a besom. They're very simple to create. You gather the stuff, put it together, tie a string around the top, you've got a broom, done. Decorate it with herbs such as wheat, mint, rosemary, or other herbs of abundance. If you have harvested something from your own garden, use that in your decoration. Mint is a very common herb for abundance. Rosemary is another common herb of abundance. Wheat, because it is Lammas and it is the harvest festival. So just think about these things as you're decorating your besom. Attach an abundance sachet to the top with a gold ribbon. Inside your sachet, you can put herbs, stones, coins, items to represent abundance. Basically, whatever calls to you, put that into a little sachet, enchant it, empower it with abundance, and then tie that to the top of your broom. Then to perform this ritual, you can use the besom that you created or the broom that you have just decorated. You want to step outside of your house at the front door, step outside of your front door and face your home. Hold your besom and fill it with your intent. If you are unable to, like if you live in an apartment and you don't have a yard where you can walk away, just step right outside your front door and do this, and then come right back in your front door. But you want to hold your besom and charge it with the intent of abundance, because you want to sweep that abundance into your home. So hold the besom, fill it with your intent for abundance, sweep towards the front door while chanting 3 times. And obviously I'm not telling you to sweep dirt into your front door. You don't have to physically sweep the ground and sweep things in. You can magically sweep, meaning your broom does not touch the ground. Magically sweep the abundance in, not the dirt. And you want to chant the following 3 times. By herb and stone and summer corn, abundance come through my door. Repeat that 3 times as you're sweeping into the door. Come into the door as you're saying your chant. You can also sweep into the kitchen for like abundance of food and resources for the home. So you can sweep the abundance into the home, and then you can continue sweeping it into the kitchen or wherever your hearth is. Sweep that intention into the home. Place your broom or your besom on your altar, or put it by the front door. Just make sure that the bristles are up, because you are inviting those things in. You can decorate your home and your altar with seasonal botanicals, fruits and vegetables. So wheat, corn, herbs, anything that you have harvested yourself. Excuse me, anything that you collected on that nature walk, decorate with those things. You can make a corn husk chain. So most people are familiar with making a corn dolly, which I'm going to talk about in just a second, but you can also make a corn husk chain. And it's just like the little paper chain that little kids make in elementary school. You just take the strips of paper, make it into a circle, loop it around the next one, and you create a chain. You can do this with the corn husk, and you can write a spell or your wishes on each individual little strip of corn husk. So write your wish on there, write your spell on there, and then loop the chain together. You can then hang it above the door, hang it above your altar, drape it around your altar, leave it as an offering. Just some ideas to use with the corn husk chain. You can also write what you're grateful for, or the things that you want to manifest for the next year. So the seeds that you want to collect that you will then grow into next year, you can write those things on your corn husk as well. So, and as for the corn husks, you can use fresh corn husks or the dried ones that you can get at the grocery store. When you want to use the fresh ones, you can either peel them off, like just peel the corn. You can also cut the butt end off of the corn, and then the corn husks just peel off piece by piece. You just want to lay them flat and maybe set something on top of them, because they kind of curl up real quickly. They curl up real quick, so you want to lay them flat. If you're buying the ones from the grocery store, you may need to soak them in water for a few hours. And this goes for the corn husk chain and the corn dolly. You can use either for both of these projects, but if you're using the dried corn husks, you need to make sure you soak them in water for a few hours, just so that they're more pliable, because if you try to bend them, they might snap and break, and that kind of defeats the whole purpose. So, corn dolly. Excuse me. You can create a corn dolly. This is probably the most common, well-known craft to create at Lammas, is a corn dolly. And again, you can use the fresh corn husks or the ones that you buy dried at the grocery store. There are a shit ton of tutorials all over YouTube for how to create a corn dolly. I don't give you directions on how to create one in the Lammas video that I just posted. I may have one on YouTube somewhere else. But basically, you take a cotton ball and you fold the first corn husk over it, tie it around to make a little head with a body hanging down. You stick some little arms in there, and you make it a little skirt, and you tie everything with ribbon. You can use gold ribbon, you can use hemp cord, whatever makes sense for you, or whatever you have on hand. But you can find a shit ton of tutorials for how to make a corn dolly on Google. You can harvest or buy fresh corn. Corn on the cob is on sale right now in a lot of places, so if it is on sale, go buy some. if you can, go harvest some. I don't know of anywhere that I can go harvest corn. So whenever I go to the store and I'm buying corn, I treat it as though, sorry, there was a little flying gnat in here. Whenever I go to the store, and actually when I go buy any of my vegetables, fresh fruit or vegetables, I treat it as though I'm harvesting it. No, I did not grow it, and no, I didn't actually harvest it from the plant, but I am harvesting it from the grocery store. So I am picking my fruits and vegetables, and I spend time picking just the right ones, the ones that call to me, the ones that have the perfect, you know, texture or firmness or softness or whatever it is that I'm looking for. When you go to the store, treat this as the experience of harvesting your fruits and vegetables. I do that pretty much every time I go to the store, but especially whenever I'm buying supplies or buying the food for the holiday feast that I'll be cooking. All right, let's see. You can make your corn dolly a man or a woman, obviously. You can make a harvest mother out of your corn dolly or with other craft items, whatever you collected on your nature walk or craft items you have at home. And you can give her a pregnant belly. If you watched my llamas video, then you know I tried to make a pregnant belly corn dolly for the first time. Normally it's just a plain corn dolly. But this year I tried to make the pregnant belly and it just was not working. Nothing I did worked. So I don't know. Maybe there's some magic to it that I'm not understanding. I could not make the pregnant corn dolly. So I ended up using a different corn dolly. And she looks pregnant, and that's what my spell was done in. So if you want to see that, you can go check out my Lammas 2018 video on my YouTube channel. But you can make, there is seriously a freaking gnat in here. Driving me nuts. I'm in my screened-in sunroom. Why is there a fucking gnat in here? Anyway, yeah, with the pregnant belly corn dolly, that is the seed. You are planting the seed for what you want to grow over the next year. So keep that in mind when you are creating your corn dolly. Let's see. Bring your corn dolly to life. Actually give it life. Breathe life into it. Enchant it. Give it life. And then give it some offerings. Leave it on your altar. You can make your corn dollies of wheat, grasses, or other botanicals. Anything you gathered on your nature walk, use all of that as well. And then once you have finished making your corn dolly, breathe life into it. Give it a kiss. Give it a breath of air. And actually bring it to life, because that's what you're growing, and that's you want to put some of your essence into that. Then place your corn dolly on your altar or in a place of honor. Place it on the dining room table. Have it share the feast. You can even make it a plate, because you are feeding what you want to grow over the next year. You can make a corn husk sachet. So you can take those same corn husks and weave them together to make a little pouch. And then you can put your wishes, you can put money, you can put whatever it is that you want to grow into that sachet, and then place that on your altar. Breathe it into life, enchant it, and then place it on your altar as well. Food. Let's talk about the food. This is my favorite part, seriously, of every day on the wheel of the year, every holiday period, is the food. I love to cook. I love to bake. And so I take a lot of time and put a lot of effort into creating the menu for any Sabbath or holiday or what have you. And Lammas is a good one, man. So I bake fresh bread. I make cornbread. I do some sort of harvest type meal. And so this year I made a vegetable soup, and it was so good. So yeah, think about what you want your food to be. You can bake bread, you can make pies, which I did. You can bake cornbread. And as you are baking these items, as you are cooking with these ingredients, take a moment to honor them and just think about where they came from. So I'm gonna read again. Honor the grains before you begin. Think about where they came from and what it took for them to be on your table. Add something you have grown or harvested, such as chives or corn, before baking. You can shape the dough into the shape of wheat or corn, sun, a goddess, John barleycorn, etc. So as you are baking this, as you are creating, put some intention into it. Give some thanks there. Honor those ingredients, because you just went and bought a bag of flour or a box of cornmeal from the grocery store, but that was once a seed that someone planted into fertile soil that had to fight its way through the dirt and then survive through harsh harsh environments and animals and bugs and disease and what have you. It had to survive that to then grow and grow strong and then bear fruit. It had to survive all of that. And then once the fruit was ripe, it was then picked, it was then washed, it was then cut, it was then ground, it was then dried, or whatever process it went through before it reached your table. So just think about that as you are creating with those ingredients. And this is a spell that I put into the bread that I made for this lammas, and it's something that you can, when you're giving of yourself, you can put this intention into whatever it is. Like if you're baking bread, put this intention into the bread and then give that bread to someone that you want to experience this. But this was what I put into my bread. May you never go hungry. May you always be nourished. May you live forevermore. And you know, these are just, as I'm enchanting because I turn all of my baked goods like that into a spell, and like Sabbath feasts I turn into spell work. And so as you're kneading the bread, you can put that intention in there, and so then anyone who eats that bread will then have that that goodness going into them. May they never go hungry, may they always be nourished, may they live forevermore, that kind of thing. Any recipes with corn, grain, or seasonal fruits or vegetables are really good for this time of year. You can Google lammas recipes or just create your own. Anything that you've harvested or anything that's in season right now, that's the kind of stuff that would really be perfect for your lammas feast. Drink a beer, have a mug of ale or a shot of whiskey. Also add them to your recipes. If you watch my lammas video, you know I added a can of cheap beer to my vegetable soup. And beer comes from barley, it comes from grain. So, and whiskey comes from corn. So just think about, or wheat, you know, they come from grains. So I'm not an alcohol aficionado. I think moonshine comes from corn. I don't know if regular whiskey comes from corn or if it comes from something else, but I know they all come from grains. So drink a beer, toast to abundance, and enjoy your lammas celebration. Remember, the journal prompts are already in Edie's Cosmic Gathering Place. They are in the files section, so go take a moment, look over the journal prompts, and answer each question again for this time of year. Sit outside, take a look at your surroundings, think about how you're feeling, think about the changes that you're noticing within yourself and externally, and journal about all of that. And then I'd love to hear what you did for lammas, so share it in Edie's Cosmic Gathering Place. If you want to share your journaling in there, please feel free to do so as well. And I hope you had a wonderful and blessed and abundant lammas. The other videos for this series are also in a file in Edie's Cosmic Gathering Place. So if you have missed a previous video, you can always go back to that video, or you can revisit them each time the wheel turns again. Thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate your time and spending your turning wheel of the year with me. If you like what I do here, don't forget to hit the little subscribe button. That way you don't miss anything. And then make sure you click the bell. That way you get the notifications from YouTube letting you know I've actually uploaded a video. I do share these here in Edie's Cosmic Gathering Place exclusively. So the Discovering Your Energetic Wheel of the Year series is just for those of you here in the Cosmic Gathering Place. If you know of someone who would enjoy this series, who would benefit from it, who's interested in learning more about the Wheel of the Year and how to celebrate all of the holidays that come around, please have them join the group so that way they can see the videos, access the content, and share in the conversation. Do not share these videos outside of the group because they are just for those of you here. It's a thank you from me for you spending your time with me. I think that's it for today. Remember, you are fierce, you are fabulous, and you are fucking badass. So keep that shit up, and I'll see you next time. Mwah. Bye!